everyone, and welcome to a new international edition of the XPRIMM Time for Business show. Today, we are happy to have as a guest Mr. Marijan MUMDZIEV. He is Chief Executive Officer of Amodo. Of course, Amodo is a well-known digital solution provider working for the insurance industry, especially for the motor insurance industry. And I'm quite sure that anyone interested by this business already knows the name of Amodo and what you are doing. But just to play on the safe side, let's say, Marijan, can you begin by a short recap of what is your company doing and what is your offering for the insurance in the area?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce the company, Daniela, during this recording. Amodo is a company that has been established and founded already in 2013. So being on the market already for 8 years, we have deployed more than 45 different projects in the domain of usage-based insurance. We are a smartphone-based technology that enables insurance companies to acquire user behavioral data from the smartphone and then use this data in order to provide the end users with a usage-based insurance products, tariffs, such as pay how you drive, pay per mile, and one that we are particularly proud of, but also a very young one, pay how you live.
Thank you. Well, I would like to begin by asking you a general question. I think at least in our area, it's true that the motor insurance field was the main theater for the technological innovation, or the place where this is the most visible. And in this context, would you say that especially now, the technology can be a game changer in this line of business?
Absolutely. I would say beyond any doubt. Insurance consumer preferences are also shaped by the other industries, and this is something that we should not forget. And for that reasons, our insurance consumers expect a certain level of personalization from insurance carriers that insurance carriers can offer only once they have individualized personal data. And this is one of the aspects where technology becomes a key enabler. This is also in the core, in the essence of what Amodo does. However, technology capability goes well beyond that, enabling process automation and many other benefits for the motor insurance business. I think especially in the Central Eastern European market, the market as such is very dominated with the motor insurance products compared to the other insurance products. And for that reason, this has also been one of the key domains where we have been active in the Central Eastern European market.
Well, because you have spoken about customers, I would like to refer to something you have released as knowledge a couple of months ago, namely to the changing driving behavior of the people, driven by the changes in our life brought by the COVID crisis. You were making at the time of your analysis a very interesting distinction between the different periods that we have on this course, the lockdowns, the after lockdowns, and in between, and so on and so forth. Do you think that the trends established at that time are still valid, will continue for the drivers in the new style of living that we have? And also, what can you say about the impact, the potential impact of these changes on the underwriting process for insurers?
Absolutely. Different measures that have been enacted during the pandemic had a significant impact on shaping consumer habit and preferences. Some changes will last longer and continually drive the transformation of the insurance industry, and some changes will disappear. However, out of those changes that will and do last longer, we have seen and observed from the data that around 8 to 10% of the consumers, which is very reflective on the market potential, because we are talking about a significant sample size that is indicative of the market size. Around 8 to 10% of the consumers spend nowadays considerably more time at home than they did before the pandemic. And we consider this, at least this is what data gives us a clear indication for, to be the long-lasting change. And given the emergence of remote work and hybrid work models, this is even more stipulated. Now, this particular change, as an example, has not only an impact on the nature of underwriting the motor insurance products, but it also is significantly impacting, as we can see, especially in the Asian markets, home insurance product underwriting as well. So for certain, there are certain aspects of the consumer behavior following the pandemic that are shaping the market environment to which insurance companies can and should adapt, as long as it is considered to be an opportunity.
So most of the changes are actually staying with us on long term, as I understand well. Hopefully some of them, like the trend of speeding, will cease soon, because they already have produced bad effects on the market.
Well, that's interesting that you mentioned, because from the speeding point of view, we have definitely seen during the lockdown periods an average increase in the speeding, which was, after giving a careful look in the data, explained by the fact that there was much less traffic on the streets, and the environment, the driving conditions allowed to drivers to drive faster. But now with the less restrictive measures, we also see that these overspeeding habits are coming back to a usual range of overspeeding in different markets. So it definitely is coming down, and we see that the accidents are not going to be driven by the fact that the customers, users, drivers are overspeeding, but will significantly more be impacted with the traffic on the street that we have back to the old levels.
Well, that would be very good. I would now go to another topic. You are very often advocating for the usage-based products, and in fact, your company is providing such products. And it is true that the development of such products was already started a long time ago, but they were not very, very appreciated, at least in this area. And for instance, many insurers have feared that they will lose revenue because of them. And how could you appreciate the current situation? Has the approach changed?
Outlook for the usage-based insurance market improved significantly after the pandemic. And this is something that is indicated in many different independent market research studies. And this is also what we, as a technology vendor, were able to observe. Now, clearly the underlying question is why? We see that the different markets, unsurprisingly, have different characteristics. But in all markets, perception of importance of the digital channel and the relevancy of the digital channel for the insurance distribution is much more optimistic after the pandemic. With the emergence of a smartphone as a distribution channel for insurance, the relevancy and capability to deploy usage-based insurance product also was created. So there are a number of different market forces that are shaping a demand and potential outlook for the usage-based insurance market. And we have seen that quite a few of those market forces have been boosted, let me put it that way, after the pandemic, and in that way gave a significantly more optimistic outlook for deployment of the usage-based insurance programs, even in our region, even in Central Eastern European market. So I think, not to speak hypothetically, for any company that wants to address insurance customers with a better service or a product, given the new market environment and much more reliance on the digital channel, the opportunity is great. Now, whether insurance carriers are going to be potentially afraid of stepping into that opportunity or addressing it because of a fear of cannibalization is another story. But we see a lot of new digital insurance brands that are attracted with the size of the opportunity and that start to address it. And I think one very notable initiative in the Central Eastern European market is also the digital insurance initiative called LACO from Croatia, which had an amazing market success and is only there to prove how much can really be achieved with the introduction of digital channels, UBI products, and ultimately new level of experience that is being offered to the customers. So that was, if nothing else, a very important proof in the Central Eastern European market that the market opportunity exists. Now, whether it is going to be addressed properly or not by insurance carriers or by new digital insurance entrants is something that we are yet to see.
Well, we will see. From the customer point of view, I would like to turn a little bit the light on the customer now, and I think it's only natural that those who are driving less are preferring the usage-based products because they have a better offer from them. But the other segment, those who are consequent and continuous user of their cars, and probably with a higher exposure to an accident history, of course, they are not favored by the usage-based products. And between these two categories of customers, from an actuarial point of view, is it possible that we will see in the end for those using non-usage-based products higher prices?
It's
because it's some kind of anti-selection at a certain point.
Absolutely. I think it's a very relevant question because it requires a technology and a product to address it. And let me tell you what we at Amodo at least believe. We believe that what should be maintained is a balanced approach towards the usage-based insurance customer base, where those drivers who drive less should be priced in a fair manner, especially given the fact that they represent a significant market share in a post-pandemic world. It's not anymore anything that could be called negligible, but really a significant portion of the customers drive less. This needs to be addressed. Insurance companies in our region know that because they are getting requests from the customers to be priced in a fairer manner given the new setup. Now, this is the market segment that should definitely enjoy the benefits of being priced per kilometer. It's one way how this could be addressed properly. However, those that drive more have the opportunity with the technology that exists on the market today to also enjoy a fair pricing if they prove that they drive carefully and less risky. So it's really, if we are looking at the two spectrums of the usage-based insurance customer base, we have those that drive significantly less, and we know that there is a strong direct correlation between the distance driven and the risk exposure, and therefore it should be priced accordingly. And there are those that drive more. However, if they drive in a safe manner, they shouldn't be penalized necessarily to the same extent that the others who drive also many kilometers, but in an unsafe manner, and are generally penalized for that. So recently, I would also, in order to not to stay on a hypothetical level again, I would also like to highlight another use case in the Central Eastern European region, where Unica International launched a program that has both components: pay as you drive, pay per mile, and also pay how you drive. So in that way, they're doing exactly this balanced approach towards the usage-based insurance customer segments so that the drivers can find an opportunity for themselves irrespectively of whether they drive less or more, but in safe manners. So this is something that we see ultimately results based on the data in a customer base that has significantly improved claim ratio. And this is why we are such a strong believer in this balanced approach that leverages on both options and both pricing types.
So basically, each type of customer is offered the possibility to benefit and to capitalize on its own quality, let's say.
Yes.
Um, I think that brings us very close to the telematics technology topic, and remaining linked to the different categories of customers. It's well known that young drivers are usually penalized in a global manner because, statistically speaking, the young drivers are producing more road events and are generating costs, let's say. Uh, do you think that this use of telematic tools can be a solution for the young drivers in order to get a proper price adequate to their own profile?
Depends. Depends on the market specifics, depends on a premium size and a couple of other aspects. But let me share the following perspective with you based on this question. Young and overpriced drivers have been an important driving market force behind adoption of insurance telematics in the UK. However, this does not have to be the case in other markets. Adoption of insurance telematics proposition in Italian or South African markets has been driven by regulation or vehicle theft, respectively. So we have seen a strong adoption of insurance telematics in the Central Eastern European market as well. However, in our markets, it has mainly been driven with attractive discounts. And we see similar market dynamic in Asia Pacific region. Now, whether the young drivers can be approached with such tariffs, definitely. But whether it has and how much business sense is something that should be evaluated on a level of geographical market and conditions that are active in that respective market.
Speaking about different markets, it is obvious that telematic technologies has a different level of popularity, let's say, in different markets. And I would like to find out, if possible, from you, what do you think that are the market characteristics necessary for this environment to be telematics prone one? So for insurers to really use this technology, because as you said, in Italy is very popular. In other big markets like Germany, for instance, some years ago, insurers were saying that the market is already so well segmented and everything it's so clear and very well documented that spending additional sums for the telematic devices on the cars, it's not worth it. So different approaches. So what would make a telematic market, insurance market, good for telematics? And
I would divide it into two, let's say, main categories. One, market specific aspects, and number two, technology choice. In terms of the market specifics, high penetration of smartphone devices, mandatory third-party liability, good penetration of the comprehensive coverage, forward-looking and collaborative regulator would definitely be a very important prerequisite of a market that is mature for adopting usage-based insurance products. On the technology side, which in many cases, as you refer to it as well, comes down to the cost subject, total cost of ownership subject. As it currently stands, the best option for most markets is smartphone technology, simply because the total cost of ownership for such technology choice is the best one and can be sustainable and profitable with a good return on investment, even in a market with a very low insurance premiums, as we have seen. I mean, Amodo has launched in many countries, such as with the lower insurance premiums, such as Namibia, Serbia, Trinidad, Tobago. So we really have a number of different countries that could be considered as a countries with a relatively low motor insurance premium. And we have seen the business case is very solid if the technology choice is smartphone based. Now, this is where advanced solutions such as the one Amodo offers can really significantly improve on one hand imperfect data acquired from smartphone devices, but on the other hand, from the business standpoint, make it viable, make it profitable, and ensure the viability of a usage-based proposition in a market that is mature to adopt such product.
Well, my following question is more a requirement for you to somehow summarize the conclusion that you have drawn after implementing telematics solutions in different markets in the area. You have already spoken about the Croatian example of Lako Prevent, I think it's called, and the partnership with Unica. I think that one is a little bit too young to estimate the results. But in general, have you driven some lessons from these experiences on the do's and don'ts, or how should we look at these things?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's not only. I mean, we have launched together with Triglav Insurance the first usage-based insurance proposition in the Central Eastern European market, and we gained a huge success with it in Slovenia. And part of the publicly available information is also that around 10% of all the drivers in Slovenia converted to this usage-based insurance product. I think Slovenia is definitely representative of the Central Eastern European markets, much more than some Western European countries. Now, we also launched two initiatives with the Lako Prevent and with the Unica in Croatia. We launched before that also in Serbia. We launched with Porsche insurance in Austria. So we launched before that in Bulgaria. So we do have quite an extensive experience, I would say, in Central Eastern European market, which is not surprising given the fact that Amodo as a company is located also in the Central Eastern European market. So what we identified in the main lessons learned in this market, that the main drivers for the adoption of usage-based insurance products in the CE market are for now still discounts. However, we see that, and this can be more or less surprising, social responsibility aspect that some of the telematics program in Central Eastern European markets can also be appealing to a younger customer segments. We expect to see some great development of the usage-based insurance programs in the Central Eastern European market, given the data that we have so far collected. And one thing that shouldn't be skipped, shouldn't be overlooked. Yes, we do provide the technology, and technology is definitely an important enabler of the success, but it's not a only success factor. The second one, a key success factor, is also what the insurance company needs to do, which is to develop a proper value proposition for their target customer segment that is enabled by a technology such as the one that Amodo offers. Because we have seen the same technology being utilized for different value propositions performing significantly differently, which only means that the value prop that is aimed for the target customers is really a key enabler, key success factor for the success and adoption of the usage-based insurance in any market. Which shouldn't be surprising. It's pretty much comes down to marketing basics.
Yes, and probably also to some cultural aspects, because people are responding differently to different propositions in different regions, in different cultures. And speaking about propositions, in the end, could you tell us, please, what are Amodo's propositions for the future? What should we expect to see from you?
Thank you, for the question. We have just started a really very big international project with an insurance company in Japan, and this is something we are really truly very proud of. And very soon we will see some announcements in the media about that as well. It's something we're super proud of. And what we also are about to announce is a launch of first of a kind Pay How You Live project that we work with one of the very respectful French insurance companies. And ultimately, we will announce a couple of new launches also in the CE markets in 2022. So I'm quite sure that 2022 will be an exciting year for insurance telematics in the Central Eastern European markets.
Well, what I understand from here is that we should look to Amodo also for non-motor insurance solutions, which seems to be another interesting topic for us. And also, we will hear from you quite often, I think, in the coming year, which is why I can only wish you success with that, and wait to hear the novelties at the right time. Thank you very much, Marijan, for today, and see you hopefully soon, maybe in a event where we can really meet otherwise than online. Until then, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you,
thank you
Daniela.
all for your attention, and see you next time with another guest.